Now at 9, the governor of Missouri signs a bill to cut taxes for seniors in the state. Plus, a new law in Oklahoma allows bar patrons to buy their beer in a new way. And the city of Columbus, Kansas celebrates its second annual Freedom Fest.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Amber Jenkins. Authorities in Cherryvale, Kansas arrested a 14-year-old for homicide. Police say they responded to a shooting yesterday around 1:30 p.m. at 21079 Douglas Road in Cherryvale. When they arrived, they found 74-year-old Thane Anderson dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Cherryvale police immediately requested assistance from the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. Authorities determined the suspect to be a 14-year-old male who was arrested. The investigation is still ongoing. Meteorologist Sam Blaines joins us for the first look at weather.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a beautiful day across the area, a little bit on the cool side for July, but we'll take it. We are watching for tomorrow the UV index to be on the very high scale around 10, which means about 15 to 25 minutes before you start to sunburn. So definitely make sure you have your hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, and find the shade if you can. If you're heading out to the lakes, they're looking pretty good. Right now, Grand is right about normal, about 0.03 below, but we'll take it. 80-degree water temperature. Over at Table Rock, about half a foot above normal right now, and 82 degrees. And then in Stockton, we're looking at about the same, about half a foot above normal, 82-degree water temperature. Looking down the lane, we're going to have some hot weather coming back into our forecast and isolated storms at best, but next weekend could be a little bit of unsettled, and of course the drought continues, and I'll tell you more about that in just a little while.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson this week signed a tax cut he said a week earlier was responsible for his decision to veto most of the spending items he cut from the state budget. The new law exempts Social Security benefits and public pension payments from income tax. Officials say it will reduce state general revenue by more than $300 million annually. It will also allow counties to hold a vote on whether people 62 or older should be exempt from increases in their annual property tax bills. Under current law, exemptions allowed for retirement income are phased out for single taxpayers earning more than $85,000 and married couples with incomes above $100,000. A new report highlights public school districts violating state law by not properly distributing millions of dollars in funds marked for students at risk of failing academically. This is the second report in 4 years on the topic by the Kansas legislative auditors. The State Department of Education had provided districts a list of 272 at-risk program options. Auditors say the programs they looked at did not meet statutory criteria and are calling for a new list to be made. A new law in Oklahoma is changing the way beer is sold. Bar patrons in the Sooner State can now buy their beers in a bucket. Reporter Bert Homerluno is in Tulsa with more.
Brand new buckets for ice-cold beer, ready to go at Slow Ride Tavern.
When I woke up, I didn't think that was going to happen today, but here we are.
Owner Sean Wellborn was expecting the new bucket law to go into effect in November, but word came out that individuals can start buying buckets today.
It helps us do some things more efficiently maybe than we couldn't do before, and then also gives some value back to the customers.
It's a lot easier, especially when a bar is really busy.
For patrons, the change offers streamlining.
So if you know you're going to drink easily 3 beers, and maybe you share one with a friend, or you know a friend is coming back, you have a beer ready for them, it does have a lot of convenience.
Buying by the bucket could also save money.
You save a little change. It's usually $1 cheaper if you buy the bucket than ordering singles.
But for some, buying in bulk raises concerns.
When you just make it easy to have a lot, it just seems like it's taking them to a level quicker that might lead to poor decisions.
Jill Henry lost her son Hans 12 years ago when he was hit by a drunk driver.
Near and dear to every one of our family members and friends, and he was just our little firecracker.
With the new bucket law, she's hoping folks exercise caution.
In our experience, we just want to try to prevent any family from experiencing a tragedy, losing a family member. And it seems like, getting beer in mass in large volumes would just be a quick ticket to, making worse decisions like getting behind the wheel.
Folks in Columbus, Kansas, were celebrating our nation's freedom today. The Columbus Fire Department hosted a second annual Freedom Fest at the city park. Some of the events included turtle races, a water balloon toss, a cornhole tournament, helicopter rides, and more. But it all started with a 5K and a kids fun run. Officials say 50 people turned out for the 5K.
So the Rec Commission is co-sponsoring this, and we did have a $100 random prize drawing for any 5K finisher. So it's real important to get out and get active, and that's just what we're trying to promote here.
The fire department also cooked hot dogs and hamburgers for everybody. The town of Bronson, Kansas is also celebrating. Today is the 49th annual Bronson Day. It featured a variety of events, including a horseshoe pitching contest, a parade, kids games, a cakewalk, cornhole, and a basketball tournament. Organizers say this event is designed to celebrate their small community and togetherness.
It's really just about community and bringing everybody back home. You know, like most small towns after the railroad left, a lot of things left this community, and so this allows everyone to have something to come back to and join together.
The fun was capped off with a fireworks show. Coming up, as the nation faces a shortage of emergency helicopter pilots, we'll look at the efforts to step up the recruiting. Many Americans are facing challenges as they try to get the health care they desperately need. Among the issues they're contending with is a shortage of emergency helicopter pilots. Fox News senior correspondent Alicia Acuna takes a look at what's being done to ramp up recruiting.
In Garden City, Kansas, air ambulance pilot Rodney Baker is one of a dwindling number in his field. Highly specialized providers who bridge the life-saving gap between rural America and emergency health care.
We have a golden hour, and that's a standard in EMS, is that that patient needs to be at a level 1 trauma center or a trauma physician within that hour to increase their survivability.
Flying ICU bases are located all over the country, but last year, Air Methods Corp., the nation's largest provider, shut down several, citing inflation, under-reimbursement by Medicare, and federal regulations. And the pilot shortage isn't helping.
These are certainly hard times for our industry and our ability to serve the communities that we serve across the country.
According to the American College of Surgeons, 1 in 4 Americans live more than an hour's drive away from a potentially life-saving trauma center.
If I didn't have that possibilities, I probably wouldn't be here today.
In 2019, Sean Elledge's skull was crushed while working inside a wind turbine in rural Kansas. He needed brain surgery, which was a devastating 2.5-hour drive away in Wichita.
Where I was airlifted, it only took about between 50 minutes to an hour to get to Wichita to have that surgery.
One study by Boeing found in the next 15 years, the world will face a shortage of 61,000 helicopter pilots. Becoming one is expensive. Training and education costs up to $170,000. Entry-level pay is around $60,000.
Frankly, from a financial aspect, the airlines were out competing us on salaries.
And even with lucrative signing bonuses in the tens of thousands of dollars, air ambulance companies still need to convince young pilots to live in small towns.
Money's not always the answer. Being where you want to be, doing the right thing, taking care of your patients and your crew is more important.
Helicopters just like this one are now flying to middle and high school campuses in an effort to get kids interested in a career in vertical flight. In Watkins, Colorado, Alicia Acuna, Fox News.
It's been a hot summer, and doctors are warning of the risk of dehydration. Doctors say dehydration isn't just not drinking enough water, it can also come from sweating, urination, fever, and vomiting. Doctors urge to watch for symptoms from dehydration beyond thirst. They include sugar cravings, dry skin, bad breath, chills, irritability, muscle cramps, and even headaches and low blood pressure. Doctors recommend to hydrate and stay in the shade, especially on hot days, to avoid dehydration and overheating. A new study believes it has the whole story about whole-fat dairy foods and your health. The study published in the European Heart found whole-fat dairy foods like milk, cheese, cream, and yogurt are good for your health and reduce premature death by 1/3. Researchers concluded a diet called the Pure Diet, which includes 14 weekly servings of full-fat dairy minus butter and whipped cream, can help achieve good health. Women older than 65 should potentially be tested for HPV, even if they've never been checked before. That's the conclusion of a study out of Denmark, which finds the test could help with early detection of precancerous lesions. Currently in the U.S., the CDC recommends doctors to test only women under the age of 30 for HPV, the virus known to cause cervical cancer. Sam is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later in sports, the Meek League announces the participants for tomorrow's Home Run Derby. We'll see which Joplin Outlaws and Nevada Griffins made the cut.
Well, friends, it was another warm day across the 4 states with just some isolated thunderstorms out there. In fact, we're watching some thunderstorms now starting to move in from the west. And they were around this morning down in Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see the pavement wet there this morning. But as the afternoon started to move in, we started to see those clouds break up and mostly sunny skies started to take over. Just a few cumulus clouds here and there. And as we head towards this evening, we're looking at mostly fair conditions across the area. We did make it up to 87 today, which was a little bit below the normals of 90 and 69. And of course, we're way behind on the rainfall by about 9.5 inches so far just this year. That's not taking into account how far we were behind last year, and I'll show you that in just a moment. First, I want to show you there are some storms on radar. They're out towards the west, and this is mainly moving to the south and east. But if we zoom in on our local area, we do have a few thunder showers now starting to move into western parts of Elk County, around Howard, stretching on up back towards Latham. This is all moving to the south and east, so folks in southeastern parts of Elk County, near Oak Valley, and eventually on over towards Independence, will start to see some of those showers moving in. Of course, it's really dry out towards the west. In fact, exceptional drought in the places where they're getting rainfall this evening. But now the drought is starting to expand even more into central parts of Missouri, and that does include Joplin. And as I mentioned, we're already behind 9.5 for the year. But if you take into account last year, we're about 13 inches below where we're supposed to be right now as far as rainfall. So it has definitely been dry, and it looks like it's going to stay that way for just a little bit longer. Temperatures this evening, though, are at least comfortable. Generally upper 60s in Iola, 70 in Fort Scott, 71 in Nevada. A little bit warmer down to the south, where they're still in the mid to upper 70s down there. Rain chances are going to be on the low side for tonight and through most of tomorrow. Again, just isolated thunderstorms, and as a result, we're not expecting a lot of rainfall across the area. Some places will maybe pick up a tenth or so, especially down in Oklahoma, where the showers could be a little bit heavier. We do have a pattern shift in the forecast, though. The ridge of high pressure is going to be building out towards the west, and that's going to put us in what we call a northwesterly flow. And when that happens, we have pieces of energy diving to the south and east in the overnight hours, and that's what generates those showers and storms, especially late at night and into the early morning, and that's what we're going to be setting up for the next several days. So at least we have some chances of showers, including tonight, with lows in the 60s down to the south and maybe some 50s, like Garnett with 59. Then tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures in the mid 80s with partly cloudy skies, again, isolated storms. And then as we go into Monday morning, we'll see lows in the 60s. And then Monday afternoon, we'll see partly cloudy skies with isolated storms, highs near 90. And then as we go into Monday night and Tuesday morning, here comes another round of possible showers in our area with lows around 70. How about the next 7 days? Well, 20% chance of showers tonight. And then Monday, 89, 20% chance of showers on Tuesday and Wednesday. But notice the temperatures close to 100 on Wednesday and Thursday, and then more instability next weekend with a better chance of storms with highs near 90 and lows in the 60s.
All right, I know we need that rain, but at least
We
it's
sure
looking
do.
good. Thank you. Coming up, what could be the biggest strike in U.S. history?
UPS workers are gearing up for a strike if the company doesn't deliver on a labor agreement. I'm CB Cotton, and I'll have more details on the high-stakes negotiations coming up.
UPS contract negotiations are getting down to the wire, and union members say they are going on strike if there's no deal by August. Fox News correspondent CB Cotton has the story.
What do we want? Contract! UPS workers say they're serious about a strike, and they've been doing practice pickets. The Teamsters Union, which represents over 340,000 UPS workers, has voted to strike in August if the two sides don't reach a new contract.
A deal would be preferred not only for the national supply chain, but for these American workers so their families don't sit out and have to make sacrifices.
So far, the delivery company has agreed to put air conditioning in new small package trucks after multiple drivers reported getting sick from the heat. The union also says the UPS has agreed to end forced overtime, a two-tiered wage system, and workers will get the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. But the company that raked in over $1 billion last year still has not met the union's demands for a 5-year contract securing higher wages for all workers. The union's president says part-timers make about $16 an hour.
We cannot accept a dual standard where part-time workers and full-time workers doing the same labor.
The strike would have major implications for shipping logistics worldwide. The company says it delivered more than 24 million packages each day last year. The White House says President Biden is optimistic the bargaining process will play out.
As I mentioned, we're in touch with both parties, just don't have anything else to lay out as far as a plan.
Negotiations hit a stalemate this week, and both sides say the other walked away from the bargaining table. In New York, CB Cotton, Fox News.
Today was the last day to grab stamps before the prices rise. Starting tomorrow, first-class stamps will cost 66 cents, up from 63 cents. The Post Office Service says the increase is necessary to offset raising operating expenses. The agency expects to lose $4.5 billion this year. 84,000 WOOM children's bicycles are being recalled due to handlebars detaching and causing injuries. The problem has caused 19 injuries, including bruises, cuts, and abrasions, according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. WOOM is calling for consumers to stop using the bicycles and contact WOOM Bikes USA for a free repair kit. Up next, how a new discovery is changing what we know about a 5,000-year-old skeleton discovery 15 years ago. New research shows that a lavish tomb discovered in Spain back in 2008 actually belonged to a woman and not a man as previously thought. The tomb contained an elephant's tusk, an ivory comb, a crystal dagger, an ostrich eggshell, a flint dagger inlaid with amber, and a skeleton. Scientists analyzed the pelvic bone and initially identified the 5,000-year-old skeleton as a young male and dubbed the remains the Ivory Man. But according to a new study, researchers used a new molecular method and examined the teeth enamel in 2021. That's when they discovered the Ivory Man was actually the Ivory Woman. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Coming up, how the George Washington Carver National Monument is celebrating the life of the park's namesake. The George Washington Carver National Monument celebrates the life of Carver and the establishment of the park. To honor 80 years, the National Park invited guest speakers, local jazz musicians, and even a traveling children's theater from North Carolina. According to park rangers, the National Park witnessed many changes over the years, but its impact on the community stays the same.
Well, there's been a lot of changes to this park. We've added on to the visitor center. The visitor center is a lot larger. We get a lot of visitors here. We get a lot of kids here. So the impact is really good, and you know, we just want to continue to celebrate this wonderful individual's life and his legacy.
The event lasted from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. today. A car show in Pittsburgh today raised money for kids in need. It happened in the parking lot of the Walmart Supercenter. Dozens of vehicles were entered and were also a booth set up with snacks, water, and other items for sale. Those sales and the registration fees will benefit the Children's Miracle Network hospitals.
There's a lot of car shows that go on around here, and so we were able to venture out and talk to different, group leaders, and we were able to get a turnout. And so our goal is to raise as much money as possible to send over to Freeman Hospital over in Joplin.
The winner of the car show received $200, but the fundraising continues tomorrow. The Southeast Kansas Princesses will be hosting an event in the Walmart parking lot with a photo booth, face painting, street art, cornhole, and more. A new list shows the top cities for mosquitoes in the United States. While no Arkansas cities made the top 50, experts weigh in on how they compare. Reporter Rebecca Witz has more.
I'm told heading down to England, Arkansas takes some preparation. So let's see why people say the mosquitoes are just that bad.
I mean, you can't come outside. They're gonna bite you. And if you guys stay here
they're going to get you.
Little mosquitoes in Conway, these things are mosquito hawks.
Bug expert Emily McDermott says it's not just in their heads.
Mosquitoes have always been very bad in especially the southeast US. Even a bottle cap with some water in it after it rains, that will be enough to support mosquitoes.
And she says in England, near bodies of water with lots of vegetation for the bugs to hide in, it's the perfect environment.
If it's really hot, you're going to get lots more mosquitoes. Those populations are going to increase much more quickly.
The pros say adults can safely stick to the sprays that work.
Wearing repellents is the best way that you can help protect yourself, especially things like wearing DEET.
And as the health department told us this summer, an important way to protect yourself from any itchiness or disease.
Very few people who get bitten by mosquitoes go on to develop an infectious disease. Of course, if you get sick, the best thing to do is go to an urgent care.
So, top of the mosquito cities list or not, residents have a message to anyone who disagrees.
They should come visit anytime, and they will find out that the England mosquitoes are horrible.
Proving that the bug can be worse in some places more than others.
Los Angeles tops the list for mosquito cities, followed by Chicago and New York. Oklahoma City and St. Louis comes in at 28 and 29 respectively, and Kansas City is at 34. Meteorologist Sam Lane joins us.
Well, if we had more rainfall, we'd have a lot more of a mosquito problem, but unfortunately we are dealing with the heat, and we're looking at a high index on the UV index tomorrow, about 10 on the scale of 0 to 12, which is very high, about 15 to 25 minutes before you really start to burn. So make sure you have the hat, sunglasses, of course sunscreen, and limit your time outdoors. One of the places you can do that is out at the lake, with conditions looking pretty good at Grand right now. 743.97, and over at Table Rock about a half a foot above normal right now, but not too bad. 82 degrees on the water temperature. Same thing up in Stockton. They're about half a foot above normal, but water temperature of 82 degrees. If you're heading outdoors tomorrow, we're going to see some isolated storms, and also we're going to be talking about the hot dome coming back, and then an unsettled next weekend, and of course the drought is continuing, and I'll have more details on that in just a little bit.
The Biden administration is focused on the latest jobs report as the mystery of the cocaine found at the White House continues. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has the story from the White House.
When asked if any Biden family members were responsible for the cocaine found here at the White House, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called that an irresponsible question. A former Justice Department attorney says that's exactly the question that needs to be asked.
She's the one that's irresponsible in not giving a direct answer. It's very simple to come out and say no member of the Biden family had anything to do with this cocaine.
Officials say the investigation could be concluded early next week. Jean-Pierre said the Biden family had already left the White House when the cocaine was found nearly 2 days later. Here's a map showing the crime scene here at the White House. The cocaine was found on the ground floor of the West Wing near where visitors enter to begin tours. They're supposed to leave their mobile phones and other excess items. It was jobs, not cocaine, the White House wanted to discuss on Friday. 209,000 new jobs created last month. That's the fewest since December 2020. Coupled with continued high inflation measured by the core consumer price index, as you see here, not good news for the White House. GOP presidential candidate Nikki Haley spoke about that earlier.
You've got 1 in every 6 American families that can't pay their utility bill, and they're spending like drunken sailors. It's a problem. As much as I'd love to blame Biden, our Republicans did this to us too.
After months of denying Ukraine's request for cluster bombs, President Biden says he has now approved of the American-made weapons to be shipped to Ukraine, hoping to break the stalemate in the war, which has now lasted 500 days. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
Today marks 500 days since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. It's a sobering milestone for a conflict that rages on with no end in sight. The devastation over the past year and a half has been hard to fathom. The UN is reporting that more than 9,000 civilians have been killed in Ukraine since the war began. Another 15,000 people have been injured. The UN also says that there are nearly 6 million people internally displaced in the country. Still ahead, giving unused space new life.
Pickleball in the mall. I'm Madison Allworth in Stamford, Connecticut. Why empty malls are turning to this sport after this.
Well, folks, we had another warm one across the 4 states, but of course it is July. We at least had some scattered thunderstorms in southern Missouri, but right now we're watching out towards the west as another round of showers and thunderstorms are developing. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, though, at Indigo Sky Casino Resort, a beautiful evening shaping up, mostly fair skies. You can see Venus there in the background shining brightly if you want to take a look at that. We made it up to 87 degrees today after starting out at 70. The averages are 90 and 69, so we were pretty close to normal, but we're not normal on the rainfall. We're about 9.5 inches below so far for just 2023. There are some storms on the radar, but they're way out towards the west, producing some severe weather in Dodge City, stretching up towards just southwest of Hayes. Most of that is going to stay to our west, but we do have a few isolated showers now starting to move into the western part of our area into Elk County around Howard. You can see some lightning bolts occurring there north of Greenfield. That's moving towards Oak Valley and then eventually down into Montgomery County around Independence. So there are some storms out there helping out with the drought situation just a little bit, and certainly they need it in Elk and Chautauqua counties as they are in exceptional drought right now, and the drought is now becoming extreme in parts of western Missouri and especially central Missouri around the Lake of the Ozarks, and it's just getting worse. We need some rainfall in here, including Joplin. We're about 12 to 13 inches below where we're supposed to be. If we go all the way back to January of 2022, we are that far behind. So we desperately need some rain to help out with that drought situation. Temperatures, though, tonight are not that bad. Generally in the 60s up towards the north, 70s, and then you get into the upper 70s down in Grove and Jay, as well as Bella Vista. And if you look at rain chances, tonight they're going to be on the low side. They might tick up a little bit tomorrow afternoon, but again, they'll be isolated. Not everybody's going to see precipitation, unfortunately. In fact, looking at the rainfall forecast map, about 1/10 of an inch in most places that do get rainfall. Everyone else less than that, maybe just a sprinkle. So we definitely need some rain, and it looks like we're going to have several chances because this ridge of high pressure is going to move to the west and amplify, and as it does, it puts us in a northwest flow pattern. And what that means is little pieces of energy develop along the Rockies, and then they move southeast during the nighttime and early morning hours, and so we get these waves of showers and thunderstorms moving through our area in the overnight hours. And that's the case tonight with scattered showers and storms mainly down to the south with temperatures in the 60s. And then tomorrow we'll see partly cloudy skies with temperatures rising into the mid to upper 80s. And then as we go through Sunday night into Monday morning, again, isolated showers possible with lows in the 60s. And then Monday afternoon, partly cloudy with scattered thunderstorms possible, especially in the southern sections, with highs around 90. And then Monday night and Tuesday, here comes another wave of system dropping in from the north and west, bringing those chances of showers and storms with lows near 70. Over the next 7 days, we do have several rounds of showers possible. Not everybody's going to get rain, unfortunately, with temperatures approaching 100 on Wednesday and Thursday. And I think a better chance of storms and cooler weather will be next weekend with highs in the upper 80s and lows in the 70s with a better chance of storms. So at least we're going to have the chances of rain out there, but we definitely need some more.
Well, hopefully the rain comes through for the 4 states. Thank you. 2023 is shaping up to be one of the years for the record books, but not in a good way. Climate scientists fear it could be the hottest year on record. Last month, the world experienced its warmest June on record by a substantial margin. And this week, the planet's average daily temperature soared to highs unseen in modern records, kept by 2 climate agencies in Europe and the US. One scientist says the records are likely the highest in at least 100,000 years. Some scientists say they hope the records will pressure political leaders to act and help combat climate change. Coming up in sports, players from the Joplin Outlaws and the Nevada Griffins are set to compete in the Mink League Home Run Derby. Plus, a former Crowder Community College baseball player has a big performance on a national stage. We'll go through the details next in sports.
On Friday, we revealed the players who will be representing the Joplin Outlaws and the Nevada Griffins in this year's Mink League All-Star Game. Today, we know who will represent those teams in this year's Mink League Home Run Derby. This year, William Kelly from the Joplin Outlaws and London Penland from the Nevada Griffins have been selected to participate in the Mink League Home Run Derby this year. Kelly has 10 RBIs on the season, all those which are coming from his raw power. Meanwhile, London Penland for Nevada has hit the second most home runs this year by any player in the Mink League this season. The Derby is scheduled to be before the Mink League All-Star Game, which will take place in Chillicothe, Missouri tomorrow night. The Nevada Griffins have had an up-and-down season this year, but as of recently, they put together some nice wins, including winning 9 of their last 14 games. Nevada continuing their long road trip tonight, trying to separate themselves from the last-place Sedalia Bombers to get back in the Mink League South race. At last check, Nevada is currently down 5-4 in the 8th inning. However, Tyson Dent is 1 for 4 with a pair of RBIs for the Griffins. Former Crowder Rough Rider baseball player Jacob Mezarowski is preparing to play in one of the biggest showcases of his life. And no, it's not a call up to the big leagues, but it's a taste of what could happen in the future. The former Rough Rider pitcher has a 2.53 ERA this year in the minors with a 2-1 win-loss record. He has over 70 strikeouts in his young minor league career. Mezarowski was selected in the second round last year out of Crowder Community College by the Milwaukee Brewers. Tonight, he took the mound in Seattle and absolutely crushed it. Facing 4 batters, 3 strikeouts, and he topped out at 102 miles per hour. The Crowder Rough Rider Nation should be proud. Speaking of Major League Baseball, the Kansas City Royals are in action this afternoon, taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Yet another rough performance for Kansas City. They lose this one 10-6. However, Bobby Witt Jr. goes 3 for 5 with an RBI triple and a solo home run. Cardinals are also playing ball this afternoon in Chicago, taking on the White Sox. St. Louis had a frustrating loss last night, but they turn around and pick up a nice win today. Cardinals win this one 3-0. Rookie Jordan Walker goes 2 for 4 with a solo home run. The Oklahoma City Thunder are well underway to this year's NBA Summer League. OKC has a pool of young talent to showcase their skills in Sin City. In Las Vegas earlier this afternoon, the Oklahoma City Thunder meet their rival Dallas Mavericks. Thunder win it 91-80. Oklahoma City's Chet Holmgren was the NBA's second overall pick last season. He had a great performance by scoring 16 points and 10 rebounds. And former Kansas State Wildcat Keontae Johnson also had a solid performance by scoring 7 points and 6 rebounds. That'll be it for sports. We'll be back with more news right after this.
Pickleball is filling the void at vacant malls and museums across the country. A growing number of communities are converting empty spaces to meet the demand. Fox Business correspondent Madison Allworth is in Stamford, Connecticut with the details.
This used to be a Saks Fifth Avenue. They still have the escalator here, but when you come over this way, you see that it is now Pickleball America. When this opens on Monday, it will be the largest indoor pickleball arena in the Northeast. I want to bring in Jay as I join his game because he's the one that outfitted this space. Jay, why did you choose a mall as the home for Pickleball America?
This mall was perfect. One, it was in the center of town. It had great bones with open space inside, and we could go quickly.
And then, quickly, good bones. It was also vacant. It was vacant for 2 years. What did the mall say when you came to them and told them we want to take this vacant Saks Fifth Avenue and make it a pickleball court space?
Oh, the mall was more than ecstatic. They loved the idea. They loved the idea of foot traffic coming through it. Almost 500,000 people will come through here in a year, and then we become a destination and also an anchor store at the mall.
Right, and I think that's so fascinating because when you look at brick and mortar, it's struggling. You look at pickleball, it's the fastest growing sport in America.
Correct.
What about that marriage makes sense to you guys?
Oh, well, just the number of people that were going to come here, and especially on the East Coast where you get rain and snow, it's going to be packed.
Love it. Okay, so they open on Monday, and it'll be open for memberships. They have already sold 250 before they even open the doors. So there you have it. In Stamford, Connecticut, I'm Madison Allworth, Fox Business.
Up next, we'll learn why one veteran is on a mission to walk across the United States on foot. Many people romanticize the idea of taking a cross-country road trip, but one man is making his way across America on foot. Reporter Brandon Truitt talks to him about why he's doing it.
This is a section of 101 that is marked no pedestrians.
From his table at the Gardner Ale House, Matt Dyer plans his next steps. The 29-year-old is walking down and around the United States. Word has it, it's one of the longest documented trips on foot in this country.
Rain again. 6 out of 8 days.
The 29-year-old is from Windham, Maine, and spent years in the military, serving overseas for a time. His wife tragically died 6 years ago. Thursday marks 4 years since his dad's passed. He's been through a lot.
I wanted to start over from the beginning.
Dyer has journeyed on walks like this before, but never as intense as this. He plans to walk from Maine to Miami, then over to Washington State, more than 6,000 miles on foot. He pulls his cart, packed with a tent, cot, and sleeping bag. He spends most of his nights here with the occasional roadside motel stay. Another consistency?
I'm one road down from there.
Dyer meets people along the way. In fact, he's built a bit of a following. Tens of thousands of people following on Facebook and TikTok. He ran into a few of them during his stop in Gardner.
There's so much to appreciate about it. Being spontaneous and not doing much pre-planning, it gives me the flexibility to have fun.
Dyer is athletic. He likes the physical challenge of it all, anywhere from 15 to 30 miles a day. His journey around the country does not have a deadline, gathering friendships, stories, and memories along the way.
That I can help a lot of people with my story. I think I'm very well tuned with who I am, and I'm trying to just make my life story better.
Wow, more power to him.
We have showers and thunderstorms in our forecast for tomorrow morning on an isolated basis. Those isolated storms will continue through the week with temperatures getting close to 100 on Wednesday and Thursday, and then more scattered storms next weekend, and I think that's when the better chance of storms will be. And then it gets at least around normal for your highs, with temperatures around 90 for the afternoons and 60s around 70 for the lows.
All right, well, that's our time for tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a baby red panda at the San Diego Zoo. We'll see you right back here next time. Thank you for making us a part of your night.